What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. And I know that you are here to listen to the best humans on the planet to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. Let's do this. I found Robert White for y'all. I sure did. He's from the Quantum Leadership Mentor. He is amazing. He even waited for me while my Wi-Fi was down. He's really a great guy. He's an executive mentor, author, a speaker. He utilizes a rich personal history of entrepreneurship and high impact learning in working with executives and their teams to develop extraordinary personal leadership skills, focus, alignment, and commitment. And as you guys know, like every time we get on with these amazing professionals on here, they always leave you with such amazing nuggets that you can take back to your team, to your businesses, and all of that. So, Robert, welcome to Straight Talk. How are you today?
I'm great, Neena. It's wonderful to be with you and with your listeners.
Thank you. Yeah, I have some great listeners. A lot of them are leaders and entrepreneurs, and it's been really phenomenal hearing from them. They like to follow the people that are on the show. They leave comments and all that great stuff. So before we get into all of that knowledge that I know is stored in you, Mr. White, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you?
That's like the question you get on Miss America, where
yes,
I'm all about world peace.
Right.
Look, I'm a father of 8. I did lose a son last year, so I guess I don't know how to answer that question. I guess I'm now a father of 8, still a father of 8, but 7 surviving. I am very interested in contribution at this point in my life, in making a difference. One of my friends, dear friends, Arjun Sen, talks about people being one of one. And I'm continuing to work on that. I think God put me here for a specific purpose, and I'm working on realizing that purpose.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, first of all, so sorry for the loss of your son. I really am. I know that that's a very hard thing to transcend and go through. And so you've been hitting a couple of battles, huh? There's a lot of battles in life. Tell me a little bit about you, like. Why are you trying to find this purpose in your life? Like what has gone on in your history, in your businesses, like things like that? Give us a little bit more about you.
Well, on that subject of purpose, it's first of all, it's at the heart of the work that I do with executives. I believe that having a clearer sense of your purpose is more valuable than vision. Much more, actually, much more valuable than vision, because it's foundational. Why you are here, why your company exists, what is unique about you. That's that one of one thing, but also what's unique about your company. So I work a lot at the level of purpose. And what I realize is that in my personal life, I've had several different purposes, even though much of it I was unconscious about that, but I was absolutely consistent in terms of living out of that purpose. Look, I grew up in the sad story, but it's just the way it was, in poverty and abuse. And I made a decision then, I will not be poor. And that was the driving level of purpose that I had for many, many years. And I ended up living in a 14,500 square foot home on 76 acres just outside of Aspen, Colorado.
Wow.
With my own jet and the 5 vehicles and all that stuff. Because if you are coming from I will never be poor again, an adaptive behavior for that, here, get a little courtesy of some expensive therapy I've done on myself, and with some very expert people.
Yeah.
What you get from I will never be poor again is potentially I'll show them. And so you can make all the money. At that time, my company was the largest training company in Asia, second largest in the world, 240 people, 15 offices, really a successful business. What it didn't bring me was joy and satisfaction. And I literally started waking up in that beautiful home in Aspen most mornings thinking, I have a feeling there's something I'm supposed to be doing, and I haven't done it yet. So
wow.
And what that made me realize is that the purpose I was living in that, high end lifestyle was I'm a rich guy in Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
that's an embarrassing thing to admit, by the way, or at least it was for me to admit that I had fallen into that. I mean, I still was doing some good. Our company was doing great and great work with people. I was on 6 nonprofit boards. I was raising some great kids and skiing 80 days a year. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I had this empty, terrible life. But my experience of it lacked joy and satisfaction. And
Wow.
saying I'm a rich guy in Aspen, even though I never said it out loud, that doesn't bring joy and satisfaction. That's like a little
That's deep.
temporary balm.
That's
And
really deep. That's really, really deep, Robert, because I think that when you come from a place where you are, poor, struggling, or things like that, you don't realize that it doesn't matter at the level of finance that you're in. We all struggle, right? We all have something we're contending with. Yes, money can make things a little bit easier when it comes to that kind of stuff. I was also born in the projects, and had a very abusive upbringing as well. So I can so relate to you on that level. And I also said the same thing. I'm not going to be a product of this. I just won't be a product of this. But you're right. There is something that happens even when you get to the 6 figures, in your case, 7, 8 figures, whatever. If you didn't find that purpose or that calling or whatever it is that's going on in your life, yes, you can strap on your boots and you can make it happen, but you still make it happen with something lacking, right? Which is what I'm hearing you say. I
yeah,
get that. I get that. What do you do? Like, that's a deep thing to go through, isn't it, Robert? Like, you're sitting there and you're going through it and you're saying, I'm a rich guy in Aspen. I could ski 80 times a year, but I feel very unpurposed right now with what I really feel like I really want to do, right? So what was that turning point for you? What did you decide to do? What was your next move?
well, a couple of things happened. One was that I agreed to spend 6 months traveling with the late John Denver. John
Mm,
was a personal friend, and we used his music in our trainings a lot. I did a training for him and for his foundation staff and board of directors. So we had a lot of closeness. And John did. We would do in that tour. It was called Higher Ground. It was the teachings of Buckminster Fuller about his world game, about creating a
mhm.
sustainable future for all. And so one night, John and I would do that event, and then the next night he'd do a concert. And when he does a concert, there's 10 or 15 and 20,000 people out there, and it's 10:30 by the time he finishes,
Right.
and he's wound up. He's ready for the rest of his day.
Right.
I want to go to
Right.
bed. But
Right.
in one of those many conversations on the road, he looked at me just kind of strange, and I said, what's going on? And he said, you think you're a big deal. He's saying this to me.
Oh,
You think
wow.
you're you think you're a big deal, but what's really ahead of you is what you're here for. And he didn't use the word purpose, but that's what he was talking about.
Wow.
And we kind of laughed about it, but he was sincere. And he reminded me of that several times. Um, the next thing that happened is that in the same week, our wives, who were best friends and still are, left us for another guy.
Oh my
And
God.
that's called getting humbled really fast. The love of my life left me for a lawyer and put me through 3 years of hell. So it was a
Wow.
great, I don't want to do it again, Nina, before you ask, but it was a fantastic learning experience for me.
I bet it
But the
was.
other thing that happened in the same 3 months is that, in addition to growing much closer to John as a human being, because we're going through this thing together,
Right.
um, the top 7 managers of my Asian business left on the same day, and set up a competitive company to mine.
Ooh.
And for my US corporate training business, corporate culture change, um, the top guy left with my top 5 clients.
Oh my
So
God.
uh, I lost $30 million. I got humbled. I lost in addition to most importantly, the marriage. I lost the house and the jet and all of that,
Right.
and started over. So my awakening that started with me just waking up in that beautiful home, thinking there's something that there's a calling, and I need to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I got the shock or a series of shocks that actually helped me discover, because what I realized is I needed to go back to what we teach, which is
Mm.
what is your purpose grounded in? And I realized mine needs to be contribution. It's been there,
Wow.
but kind of
Wow.
in and out. And I need to dedicate my life to contributing. So that's kind of a part of the story.
That's a powerful part of the story, right? Because I really I sometimes feel that that happens to all of us at different levels, of course. I mean, that was a big impact in your life, losing a marriage and losing that much money and losing what you were comfortable in, what you were living in, right? That's extremely hard. I mean, I remember me and my husband lost our home, our cars and everything, and we were homeless for a while, and it's tough. I mean, it hurts the heart, it hurts the soul, it humbles you. It makes you also more real, to be honest. It made me more real, made me more connected. It made me more aware. So it actually was a good thing too, but it was a very hurtful and hard thing to go through. So I'm so sorry you went through that, Robert. And I'm also so glad you went through that too, because I know that that does something to us. It shakes us up, right?
Well, there's two things about it that are really vividly clear to me. One is that a former employee who left my company to go to the company called, at that time, EST, but now Landmark Education, which is now the largest experiential training company in the world. And so he went there as a trainer originally, became their CEO, left and went on his own. So he was on his own when I was going through all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
he became my coach, not in business, even though he's a pretty sharp business guy, but as a dear friend, or
Wow.
in my work, what's called a committed listener, somebody that knows you and knows what you're really up to and is willing to confront you. And when that relationship started, I was talking to him a couple of times a week for about 8 weeks, and he never said anything. He'd do the uh-huh, I understand, while I rattled on with my victim story about the wife leaving me and the business failing and all this stuff happening.
Mm.
And then after about 8 weeks, one night he said, Robert, could I ask you a question? And I was so shocked because he's, you know, I'm looking for advice and counsel and for somebody to agree with my victim story. And right out of our trainings, but he phrased it in a little different way. He said, wouldn't it be useful to take 100% responsibility for all of this?
Woo!
Ooh.
Woo! Woo!
And, and the
Woo!
word that the word that got me was useful, because I'm a pretty practical guy actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And in that moment, I went, oh, that thing that I wrote a book about, that thing that we teach, that you know.
Right.
Anyway,
Wow.
that's one thing that happened. The other thing is I started to really deeply analyze why I lost the business and the
Mm,
wife.
mm, mm.
And I learned so much about relationships in doing that, but I learned so much about business that I now use with clients. I mean, I went to a bunch of other people's trainings. I had 3 different coaches on the business channel. And what came out of that is the work that I do today.
That's
So
amazing.
it's kind of like, you know, do I want to do it again? No.
No, exactly. That's what I say too. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that again. I just want to learn the lesson and go. So tell me what you do today, Robert. So, because your life has really, been through such a beautiful and hard roller coaster. So what is it that you do today? How are you helping like companies and CEOs and stuff like that today? What do you do?
I didn't plan it this way, but it turns out to be true. In looking back, is that I work with two kinds of clients. Some of them are in trouble, some version of a mess. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they're maybe sales are declining or margins are going down. Key people are leaving. They're not sleeping well.
Mm-hmm.
They're struggling maybe in their marriage. They are increasing the intake of alcohol and drugs, either legal or illegal. Um, you know, their life's a mess. Their team is not well. So that's a client that's good for me to kind of end the suffering, stop the
Mm.
slide, and get back on a track that works. The other client is the one that they're really doing quite well, and they look into the future. It's usually an entrepreneur or the head of a division of a bigger company that looks into the future and says, this is really bright. We're going to have to make some significant changes, but this is a possibility that we've been getting ready for.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we are not, either he or she individually or the team
The team.
are not ready for that possibility.
That's
They're just
wisdom.
not, they're not
Mm-hmm.
adequate to it. And they're smart enough, aware enough
Mm-hmm.
to know that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do is I work one-on-one with executives, uh, and that almost always leads to a team training, which is, of course, is the biggest strength for me. The
Right.
biggest background is working with groups, where we get people engaged. We work on focus, alignment, and commitment. That's the three. Those are the three that make a company work, in my experience. So
Mm-hmm.
help them get focused. What are we really up to here in this 90-day period? And get
Right.
everybody on that same page. Then getting aligned around purpose, around vision, around values, and our strategic intent, and having them buy into that because they create it as a
Right.
team. And then finally, the cornerstone of all of our work is commitment. uh,
Mm-hmm.
People in our language, and I'm saying our because I fall into it myself, in our language, in our decisions, in our choices, and how we think, we get these little weasel words that creep into it, like "I'll try,"
Mm-hmm.
"I'll do my best," "I'll." Uh, all of these things that we use to avoid absolute commitment.
All right.
Um,
Wow.
and
That's
I've
good.
got a million. I have a million stories to illustrate that, but we've only got a few minutes here.
Right. So okay, so let's talk a little bit about what it is you're doing and how this CEO or entrepreneur or somebody who's listening to this right now, how do they come face to face or know that they are in a mess, right? Let's go on that angle, because I think that, as you know, you have to be really have some self-reflection, some self-awareness that you are possibly the problem of your team, or the possibly the problem of leading that team in the wrong direction. And that takes sometimes some humbleness that some of these CEOs or bigger people do not have yet, right? Because
Right.
sometimes it takes something catastrophic or something to happen to them for them to go, oh, maybe I was the problem. So if you can speak to someone right now who's listening, an entrepreneur or somebody who's saying that their team is a mess and everything's going wrong and blah blah blah, how do they start to become self-aware, or how is it that they can at least acknowledge that they're going to need an assistance, like what you're offering?
Look, I've spent 23 years of my life living abroad in Asia. And so I've got a zillion Asian sayings. Here's one from Zen Buddhism: fish do not describe water very well. Whatever we're living in, we get unconscious about it.
Yes,
This is
yes,
why everybody needs a coach if they're serious about anything.
yes,
I'm not
yes.
selling me here. I'm telling you that if your issues are all life issues, you need a life coach. I'm not that.
Mhm, mhm,
But if your issues are business, that's going to intersect with your life. That's where I happen to work. And there are other good people doing that. You need a
mhm.
coach because what's your problem is you, and you are not able to see you. You are the fish in water. Uh, you
Right.
don't you don't describe yourself accurately.
That's
Now,
good.
a spouse, a husband or a wife, sometimes can be an accurate mirror for you, but almost always the pattern that develops there is denial.
Right.
Because, well, they don't really know me. Well, they do
Right.
really know you,
Right.
is the truth.
Right.
But you've got to find some way to get an outside voice.
Mm-hmm.
In our personal growth trainings, and these two companies that I founded and led previously have 1,300,000 graduates from these high impact
Wow.
experiential learning events around leadership. And in our second level program, which is the more intense, more personal, more confrontive, our trainers are equipped with an 8.5 by 11 mirror, because at some point in
That's
some of
smart.
those trainings, you have to force that mirror up in front of somebody
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
say, look at you, look into your eyes. The depth of the soul is betrayed
Mm-hmm.
in the eyes. It's a fact. And so that's pretty hard to do alone, but it's
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. And but that you've got to the exercise. All of our work is experiential, so
Right.
we're not just
Right.
giving lectures, right?
Right.
And so one of those exercises, the theme of it is stop, look, and choose. And that's
Mm.
when you get right down to it. That's what people that are in a struggle need to do. They need to stop justifying it, stop making reasons and excuses, and they've got a story about it.
Yeah.
I am an expert at having a story about things.
Me
I,
too.
I can mislead myself, and it is poetic. It is so beautiful. Uh,
I love this. I love
you
this.
know,
Yes. Yes.
and
Same.
I remember in the middle of that horrible divorce that John and I had lunch together. We were having a conversation.
Hey there, my amazing community of straight talkers. I just wanted to give a quick announcement because I wanted to introduce you to a transformative life coaching program that I have made exclusively for women. I want them to break free from shame and embrace their true potential so that they can build that life and business that they have always wanted. Now, our transformational coaching will guide you, we will help you, we will uncover your passion, your goals, and will develop your roadmap to success. Visit me at neenaperez.com and you can join an amazing community of women that are on the same trajectory as you, because I want you to create that life and business you deserve and transcend that shame and unwanted behaviors. So don't wait any longer. Visit neenaperez.com and let's embark on this journey together. Now back to the show.
Conversation about it, and he asked me something about the divorce, and I said, and I didn't think, it just came out of me, and later I realized that had some wisdom in it. I said, John, I'm so tired of my own story.
I'm so tired of my own story.
Like,
what did he say to that? That's so funny. He's probably like, I'm tired of it too, Robert.
Oh my.
Because when we share too much of our story, because we're victims, because this was me too, I got tired of it too. Like one day I was complaining about something and I got tired. I even was like, oh, shut up. Like, shut up. And then I'm like, is this what people feel around me? This sucks, that was just a moment I had, and I stopped. I stopped. It's too much.
Look,
right?
how many, for people that are in a struggle right now and maybe having a bit of an issue coming to grips with it, first of all, I am you. I've been there big time.
Yeah, big time.
But how many times do you want to say, "Oh, it's the economy, it's politics, it's my people
God.
aren't loyal." The problem is my wife's brother that she insisted that I hire him or her, and all that stuff that we tell people about our issues, or that I've made this mistake again
Right.
for the 18th time.
Right.
Poor me. I'm a
For
victim.
me.
I'm a victim of myself.
You're a
So
straight freaking shooter, aren't you, Robert? I like this. Good.
look, I've
Good
done all
stuff.
that. I've done every bit of that myself.
Right,
And then of
right.
course,
Same.
I've had this incredible experience. See, 80% of my business life, I worked behind the scenes. The most common thing that people in the industry say when they find out about what I've done is, "Where were you? Have you been in hiding?" I mean, I
Mm.
became the second largest training company in the world. People in the industry knew who I was, but our graduates didn't know me.
Right,
My name
right,
was my name at that time was not on my company.
right,
Like Tony Robbins' name was on his company, Dale Carnegie, Stephen Covey. It goes on and on like that.
right, right,
Uh, for reasons that would require a couch and a therapist, I
right.
didn't do that. And
Gotcha.
and so that unconsciousness that I saw, what I did was train trainers. So I've
Mm,
been in the back of the room thousands of times, and I'm working to improve their skills, their consciousness
mm-hmm,
in this high
mm-hmm,
impact work. Well, you cannot be in the back of the room without suddenly realizing you're a student in the training
mm. That's
thousands
good.
of times. So I've
Right,
had that mirror forced up in my face
right,
to my benefit, always
right,
uncomfortable, by the way.
mm-hmm,
If it's not uncomfortable, it really isn't an issue,
right,
actually. you
right,
know,
right,
but
right.
always in a positive atmosphere.
Mm-hmm,
Um, you
mm-hmm,
know, I'll share this story. When John Denver, John had, speaking of jets, his jet and mine were in the same hangar. Were stored in the same place. Uh,
mm-hmm.
and we always fought about it. He had a faster one, I had a bigger one. So, you know how guys, how guys are about stuff like that.
Right,
But
right.
so I do this training with a couple of my team members for John and for the staff and board of the WinStar Foundation, 32 people. And at the end of that train, and actually, if you go to the John Denver Memorial in Aspen, you'll see a central stone. And by the way, it's the most beautiful memorial you've ever seen to walk around in it. I mean, they did a fabulous job. His first wife, Annie, and the city of Aspen worked together on this, and it's
Oh,
stunningly beautiful. It's like a meditation garden, and but on the central stone, this big granite stone about 10 feet high, is carved his name, the date of his birth, the date of his death. I think it says father, brother, husband, stuff like that. Pretty common. And then it says his statement of purpose that he arrived at in that training.
mm.
Um, and I don't remember a lot these days, but I remember that because it was so dramatic. He said, "I am a song. I live to
Oh,
be sung. I sing with all my heart."
wow, that's
Pretty
beautiful.
good, huh? Well, at
That's
the end of
beautiful.
that training, a lot of truth had been told to a lot of people. So we do an exercise where we clear all the chairs out of the room, and then you stand in front of one other person, and person A and person B, and person A says, "The gift I see in you, Neena, is," and then
Mm-hmm,
whatever
mm-hmm.
the gift is you see in them, and the recipient can only say thank you. No justifying, no evading, no
Good.
deflecting. And then you reverse roles. And when that's complete, you find another partner. So at the end of it's very healing. It's
Yeah.
very affirming. You hear things that you had maybe had doubts about or fears about, or
Mm-hmm,
you get
mm-hmm.
surprised by what people see in you because, again, you're the fish in the water. You don't
Right,
see you
right,
accurately,
right.
right? So it's very life affirming, very positive experience. And at the end of it, I'm busy running the exercise. Suddenly I realized that John Denver, my new friend and one of the most famous entertainers in the world, is laying on the floor sobbing.
Oh,
And I had just come back to the US after 12 years in Japan, and I'm committed to building my culture change business in the US. And I'm thinking, this is going to be on the front page of some newspaper. My career is over now. Uh,
right. Wow.
and
Wow.
I didn't know what to do, so I laid down on the floor with him. And what I learned there, Neena, was that this guy who had everything in terms of success and fame and artistic expression, the co-founder of the Hunger Project, an
Wow.
ambassador for peace, it goes on and on and on. His accomplishments, a professional level photographer, a very good golfer. He's amazing. Uh, Ironic, given how he died. He was a rated pilot, jet rated pilot. I mean, he's good, and he's on the floor sobbing. And what he shared with me was 31 people gave him feedback. Not one of them said that the gift they saw in him was his music.
Wow.
They said what they. So
Wow.
I said, what did they say? And he said, they said I was a great father, that I was a really good friend, that I was really committed person to the future of the planet, and he just went on and on and on like that.
Wow.
And I said, well, John, what did that mean to you? And he said, I already knew I was a good musician. I didn't know I was a good man.
Oh, that's deep.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
and laying there on the floor, he promised to write a song about it, which 2 years later he did. So you can hear it if you'd like to go on YouTube. It's called The Gift You Are. He converted the gift I
Oh,
see in you to the gift you are. And for the last 3 years of his life, that was one of his encore songs. And he would have people in the audience sing it to whoever they were there with, sing the
wow.
chorus. So,
That's so powerful.
but that's, that kind of wake up call is what people need to engineer in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes that's a group, sometimes that's a coach, sometimes that's getting smacked upside of the head,
Yeah.
and that's your wake up call. And then you
Yeah.
need to look at your foundational uh, qualities around purpose and vision, and what makes you one of one. Why are you here?
Yeah.
And that kind of clears a whole lot of things up for people once they get that.
Well, because you're going 7 layers deep, right? It's not just about systems, right? You're not coming in and talking to them just about systems and how to run a system and how to run a management group, but you're going deeper than that. So they take this not just in the life of being that CEO or that leader or whatever that role is, entrepreneur, but they're also taking that, they could take that into their life. What you're making them become aware of, what you're showing them to take ownership of, that will trickle down into all the other areas of their life. And just like, John, it's like, yeah, you might be a good CEO or something, but maybe you're also a good person, a good man, a good woman, somebody who can bring something out into the world that can be more significant than the widget that you're selling, or or the service or whatever it is. So that's really powerful, Robert. I think that this can be a no, not could be. This is a huge shift into where the world is going to, because buyers are more into the person now than they are about the product,
Hmm.
right?
It's
So
a good observation. And also, what you have to realize is if you're a leader, if you have that privilege, that honor, and that tremendous role to fill, your people, this is a big generalization, but it's
mhm,
generalizations are mostly true. That's why we use them.
right.
Uh, People lack meaning and purpose in their
Yeah,
lives. They're
yeah,
spending 1/3 of their lives at work. If
yeah,
you can help them discover their purpose, if you can bring meaning to that work, so that
yeah.
that what people are doing, they connect it up with their role in the world.
Everything you do now, you're buying with the knowledge of knowing who's selling the product. It's not like it used to be, right? Like people used to, like yourself, right? Used to hide behind, doing all the work, and nobody knew who you were. That's not really how people purchase anymore. Like people really want to know who you are, who's running the company, what they stand for, all that kind of stuff, Robert, right? So I think that that's what you're really going to be helping a lot of these entrepreneurs and leaders with, to show up for themselves, to show up for their company, to lead
Look,
well.
most people are really clear about two things, and if I don't provide those two things in my work with them, or any coach with business people, they're looking for profit and time. They're looking
Mm-hmm.
for free time,
Mm-hmm.
just so they can have a life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they kind of know that part, and they get reminded of that by their spouse and by their friends that they don't have a life.
Right.
So if they're
Right.
not hearing that, they've got wax in their ears. And
Right.
so, yeah, we've got to improve the effectiveness of their organizations, or they don't have a job.
Right.
And we have to give them more time. I have a
Right.
lot of belief, and it's actually borne out in quantum physics, that you heal yourself by producing results. When you can
Wow.
see that you shifted in how you're showing up, in your clarity of speech, in your leadership qualities, uh, and results go up, that is you. That changes you.
It
That's how
does.
you change, is
It
through
does.
results. If somebody's teaching
100%.
self confidence, but it's based on just words, it ain't going to work.
That's
You
it.
but you got to do something, and so that's what I'm into.
Well, you dropped an enormous amount of amazing nuggets and knowledge here today. So I mean, I could talk to you forever, ever, right? I'm gonna let you go because I have things to do. You have things to do. Otherwise, we'll be here for hours because I really enjoyed this conversation. But before I let you go, though, because I know that what you're offering is something I feel really strongly. I feel the same way you do. Every coach needs a coach, or every person needs a coach. Every therapist needs a therapist, like that kind of thing. We always need someone. And so, how do people get in contact with you? How do they follow you? Where do they get your book? Give us all of that information too before you go, so that they know where they can connect with you.
Well, I've made a major step forward, Nina. I put my name on something. So
Oh,
the website
good.
is therobertwhite.com,
Awesome. Awesome.
therobertwhite.com. And under resources, you'll find my book. You can get a signed copy, or you can go on Amazon. Frankly, on Amazon, I'm selling 20 Kindles to every book. People are
Yeah.
in this electronic age.
Yeah.
Uh, but on my website, you can also punch a button, and you're going to get 30 minutes with me free.
Oh,
I
wow.
do ask,
That's
I
great.
do ask that you come to that call with an issue, so that we're talking about something that would be
Right.
meaningful to you.
Right.
And you can also sign up, and I do recommend this. I do a free weekly e-zine called An Extraordinary Minute with Robert White, and it's a quote from somebody, something I read, something I saw in a video, something from someone else, and then my comments on it, and
Oh,
all designed to be read in 1 minute or less. And what it does is it helps us be in relationship.
yeah.
Anytime you hit reply to that email, I'm going to see it and answer it. So
Oh, that's so good.
uh, it's a nice way to stay in touch.
Yeah.
And the book is available on under resources, and I'm doing some events, and that's always under the events page.
Right.
Duh. But I've been doing some free 90-minute programs on leadership that have very
Oh,
strong
great.
feedbacks. So I think I'm going to continue that. I'm actually doing one. I don't know when this show will air, so maybe I shouldn't mention that. But if you want to find out about those, uh, I think it's a pretty powerful 90 minutes, frankly. And it'll be under the events page at therobertwhite.com. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook and all, Instagram and all that stuff.
Well, thank you. Thank you for several things. Thank you for honestly the knowledge and everything you poured into our listeners. I also want to thank you for your vulnerability and your openness and your willingness to take us on a journey. Because that is one thing that I do love to talk to people about, is who they really, really are. And some people will go there because they're bold enough and strong enough and confident enough to go there. Some people won't, but you did. And I honor that. And I thank you for that. And I appreciate your time and this, because, to me, I know that we're not promised tomorrow, and we're not even promised moments from now. Right. So when I have these conversations, I take them very seriously. They're really dear to my heart, but especially when somebody is willing to go there. And so I'm going to hold this conversation in my heart for a very long time, Robert. And I want to thank you for that. I really do. So thank you for being on Straight Talk, and thank you for being with me.
You're very welcome. Can I make a request?
Sure.
Look, the last 15 months for me have been really difficult since the death of my son. I'm ambushed occasionally by anger and by sadness
Yes.
that I can't even describe. I never thought it would happen in my life. My former wife and I have set up a foundation to educate young people about the dangers of drug abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need money. We have that handled. But we need awareness. And he died by going to a party ingesting cocaine that was laced with fentanyl. 108,000 people, mostly young people, died that way last year just in America. And my request is simply to have an awareness that this open border we have to the south is a problem.
It's a problem.
Our lack of education about drug abuse is a problem. Increasingly normalizing drugs in our society as a way to avoid your life. That's by the way, my judgment.
Right.
We need to wake up. Speaking of waking up, we're busy with our businesses. We're busy with our families. I think we need to realize we have an emergency. It certainly has brought home for me. I can't tell you the number of friends who, learning of my son's death, then told me about a close family member that died from drug abuse in the last year. It's staggering number.
Wow, it's staggering.
Let's wake up. We can do something about this.
What's the name of the organization?
We're not announcing it because we don't want people. We're not looking for donations. And
I see. You just, got it.
We're looking at other foundations and other educational outlets and organizations that already exist, and we'll just be funding them. That's what,
Wow.
But that's just part of our commitment.
It is a big problem. It is a huge problem, Robert. It is a huge problem. And, something that many people don't like talking about because we all want to fluff everything up and make everything look pretty and whatever. But it is a big problem, and especially among our youth. And so that's terrible, Robert. But thank you so much for not letting this show go without saying that. I appreciate that. I really do. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you and your ex-wife's heart as well. Like, to not even think that, I'm not pitching it for money. I'm pitching it for awareness, and I'm pitching it to try to save someone else's life and and the pain of the family of that someone else's life. So thank you so much for that, Robert. Man, see, I already said that I liked you a lot. Now you just sugar-coated the whole thing. There's no sugar added. I just really love you. I love your energy. Yeah.
Well, I love what you do, Neena, and that's why I'm here. I wish you every possible success and happiness.
Thank you. Likewise, really, likewise. Guys, I told you that I find the best humans on the planet, and I knew that Robert was going to bring a whole bunch of wisdom and love and compassion and all of it. He exceeded my expectations. So please make sure that you follow him. I'm going to put his information below so that you can click on it. Go ahead, follow him. Like he said, he'll even jump on a 30-minute call for you, but come with a problem so that you guys can solve that problem. So make sure that you are going with intention, right? So make sure you like, share, subscribe with whoever hears this, so that we can also spread the word of awareness that Robert dropped on us just at the very end here. I want to make sure that you utilize that to help someone else. That is what we're here for, is to grow, challenge, and transform our thinking and to impact the lives of others. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. You are the best. Okay. I have the best podcasting community ever. I really do. And I appreciate you guys being on here. Make sure you go on to winject.com/register, WINJECT.com. straighttalknosugaradded.com/register and register for my free community, because I want to be really connected with you, and I want us to brainstorm and be with each other and connect in a deeper way. If you are looking for coaching, please make sure that you also email me at hello@straighttalknosugaradded.com. I work with women and I help them develop that business that they are envisioning in their hearts so that they can win. Thank you guys so much for being here. Love you, love you, love you. This is Neena Perez, Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Until next time.
It's easy to lose sleep when you're worried about your health insurance plan. But when you have a family counting on you to take care of them, having the right coverage is more important than ever. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is here to help. With low to no cost plans for you and your family, so you never go it alone. That's our Anthem. Click to learn more.
Today, we discuss Miro. Today, I want to talk about the hellscape that is technical diagramming, right? Everybody's nodding their heads right now, And there is a potential solution that I want to share. There was one name that several people brought up. I did some digging, and it's kind of nuts how much this program Miro has for developers. I have to share this. It could potentially be a game changer for you. So my favorite part about Miro is that half the work is already done. Like right now, typically we spend hours starting diagrams from scratch, gathering information. You get buy-in from every team. That's a lot of work to do. But Miro has a full set of integrations with the tools you're probably already using. And they also offer open APIs and SDKs for custom solutions for all those niche diagramming use cases we have to do, right? So the end result is the same, but it doesn't take forever. It's a massive, massive time saver. I'm transforming basic flowcharts and network architectures, and it all lives in one place. So are you using Miro? Have you used it? I want to hear. That's Miro.com.